did you feel the boys acquitted themselves during the autumn series?
I thought it was a manful effort as always, and I thought Hibbard stood up and is not just having a consistent run of form now, but probably a long-term period where he is really excelling week in, week out. I thought the other pack members were combative and added the edge the Welsh pack needs really in and around those boys, and I was pleased that Dan Bigger had the shirt on the weekend. I think that reflects as well where his game's been the last 12 months or so, and it's good competition there, but I was pleased for him that he got that shirt. Also not forgetting that we, as other regions, had a few injury hits as well, so Eli, Ashley, and obviously Adam as well, taking the brunt of a boys not available now.
What did you think of Cooper's display? Did he show Gruff that there's another way to play rugby?
He's certainly got a wide range of skills that challenge defences, attract not just the defender in front of him, but players around him to the ball, and just that ability to put people away at the last minute is to be applauded. But I think a lot of it is just smart as well in the way that you look at Mackenzie, the way the Reds were set up. A lot of it is run in terms of go forward off Genya, and then they pick the moments when Cooper steps up and really challenges that defensive line. So it's not just individual moments, it's stuff that's coached in and around their brilliance, but how a team gets to go forward as well, which I admire greatly. And I think there is lessons there in terms of where I've been involved developmentally. You want to see players who've got the ability not just to do that, but run, pass or kick at any time. So I think there's a message that we've got to keep developing players who can put their head up, but also apply the right skill set in the right context.
How are you going to motivate your boys for this game? Given the highs of, given the sort of rigours of the autumn series, how are you going to sort of motivate your Wales players?
I mean, in some ways, it's not an easy task. As I said, the calendar does us no favours, and it tends to be, as most people say, the more you get together, the more you gel, and we haven't got that luxury this week. But we do think the Osprey shirt is something special, and the characters, people like Alan Wing, Hibbard, Tip Bricky and Evans, they've always given over and above for their region. This is probably the hardest week that you could possibly have, so it's a nice little test for us to try and step up to the mark. Not just those guys, but the players who've been here as well. They've had some improvements over what we've done, so we've all got to step up to the mark. Players, coaches, management. I think there's a common message there.
Steve mentioned this week it's becoming increasingly difficult to hold on to your highest profile and highest earning players with Ian Evans for too long. Can you give us an idea of how you go about planning to keep hold of the likes of Alan Wing Jones and Adam Jones who are out of contract in the summer? What can you do to keep them here?
I think contractually, we've seen things can take place above me at board level. I mean, we know how we want to plan long term around those players, but we just get involved with our succession planning, and we just look at all contingencies, but also day in, day out, we just try and make the Osprey environment special, challenging and enjoyable, and we can't do much more than that.
There's been talk at some other regions, the Scarlets and the Blues and the WRU might be willing to help put a package together to keep players in Wales. Is that something that's been mentioned for the likes of Alan Wing?
I'm sure it has. I mean, people are in negotiations, but I think the sums involved probably don't reflect reality, perhaps, and also I think in terms of some of those agreements, perhaps need a little bit of clarity as well. So as I said, for us as coaches, it's just the task in hand, and Castres in particular for this week present a huge obstacle, but one we are excited about as well.
You mentioned Castres as a huge obstacle. I guess this week the reports in France saying that they're about to sign Sinavatu from Clermont on a 3-year deal. Outspending Clermont is quite a feat. Does that sort of put the game into context, the size of the task ahead of you?
Yeah, in some ways. Yeah, it's not an even playing field, but we accept that. We are what we are. We've obviously got an area of our team where we feel we're pretty strong. We actually feel we've gone around in a Moneyball sort of way. We've recruited players who have added a bit to our backline, and I can see some light at the end of the tunnel where we're going with that. but it is, you know, a different world. But we can only step up and do what we do and still try and compete in terms of winning games and performances, but also understanding that, you know, it does get harder year on year.
Gruff, you're sort of going through a sticky patch at the moment. I think it's 2 from 9. How are you going to sort of pull yourselves out of it? It's going to be quite difficult, is it?
Yeah, it is. You look at the run of fixtures, like I said, you've got to be excited by the challenges ahead in terms of the top sides in Europe, the Welsh derbies. So we have got to focus on this block of games as one which is obviously key to the season, you know, short term in and around Europe. But we've also got to be mindful of the different competitions we've played in, the turnover of players, you know, and the processes we've gone through. And even though, you know, results are key, and we certainly understand that as coaches, I think we have got to worry about what we coach and what players learn and absorb. And in some ways, there's pleasing aspects to even some of the games we've lost recently. That, you know, some of our set-piece attackers put some line breaks together. There's some counter-attack urgency. There's individual players stepping up better. You know, so there's moments in and around that can help drive us forward. And I know process doesn't make headlines. It is about outcome, and we fully accept that. But we've got to be defined by what we can do on a weekly basis.
Who's Sean for you then during this period?
Been pleased with Ben John is starting to understand the full range of his role as a midfield player. He's had injuries in the past, but I've known him a long time and seen the potential there. But not just perhaps living in his own potential, he's understanding the bigger picture of how to bring others into play, but also when he's got to take pressure off the 10. So he's seeing the game probably in a better light at the moment, and he's starting to excite me because the ability's been there. And obviously we've played him on the wing as well because he's been one of our, you know, leading lights. But actually he's settling down into a good midfield role. But also, to be fair, someone like Tom Isaacs alongside him last weekend, you know, we've put him in a bit of a hole. He's missed out on selection. But if he can fight like he did last week on a consistent basis, well, you know, I'd be truly delighted. And likewise, Hassler comes in on the wing and has given us some good moments there. Understanding as well as a blank canvas, he's really coachable and takes on messages in a real clear manner. You know, and as Hanno does, in a different way. Hanno just comes in, you know, balls out, and has got the mentality to, you know, drive himself and the group forward. So, like I said, the backs, you know, we've obviously, no doubt about it, we've suffered for 2 years of having to turn around a full group of players. I can genuinely see light at the end of the tunnel now.
What about your backup outside half situation with Morgan and Sam Davis? How do you see that?
I think there's a great competition on a weekly basis now. And Sam, in terms of tactically, in terms of what we wanted to try and beat a strong Glasgow side, he was excellent. Put us in your positions, pulled their back three around the field, and we had some great outcomes. And like I said, for 16 minutes, you're 16-6 up, and a lot of that is dictated by Sam Davis. So it gives us real good options going forwards, and he's a different type of player clearly to Matthew Morgan, who's going to suit other games and still potentially has a future with us. So we've got to try and manage the best fit for the right game without compromising the development of all three of them, Dan included, as Wales' first choice.
With the Blues struggling for outside half now, they might be looking at this hemisphere as an emergency measure, patches up for a while and all. Is there a case for one of your outside half to be low and the Blues could actually help Ospreys Rugby in the long term and Welsh Rugby?
Potentially, yeah. I think loans deals, because of the way Welsh Rugby is structured, probably don't exist really as much as they could do, and not just with players at that age, but even probably a couple of years younger. But there's potential, because what we don't want to do, and I've said it for a while, is hinder the development, and at some point these boys have got to play. We train them week in, week out, so they take on key messages. They're all good professionals who've adapted to what we're doing, you know, but obviously we've got to try and create a fit for players to achieve what they can as well.
What's the injury situation at the moment with Adam and etc.?
Adam will be fit this week. Best case is the following week, but he's got a fair bit of rehab to do to get fit there. There's others like Beerman is still out with a hyperextended elbow. Lloyd Piers now is a long-termer from last weekend. Ankle syndesmosis. So that is a blow, because we talk about trying to rotate and rest internationals. It becomes hard when obviously the lack of depth, especially with injuries accumulating, does hurt. So
Good Lord, how long is here?
average will be around 10 weeks for something such as that. So that's taking you to mid-end of January, which is the back end of this bulk of games. So it's, that's a blow. And obviously someone like Andrew Bishop still out with some back pain, so we need to get to the bottom of that. That may need surgery as well. Potentially, yeah. And that's again, it does create opportunities for the players I spoke about previously. But again, you're talking about one of the best defensive centres in Europe, so it stretches you, and it's a good challenge.
Are you not walking it out for 6 or 7 weeks?
Yeah, because the tear was a bad one. It'd be on 10 weeks from the tear. He's done 4 or 5 now. So yeah, so you're talking potentially post-Christmas there as well. Should be next week. That's just in case of rest.
Are you sort of seeing this game as mission impossible?
No, definitely not. That we're naturally optimistic even when it is backs to the wall, and we're realistic as well. We know it's a mountain to climb, but you've got to have a good crack at it. Our record suggests Ospreys sides have got a real poor away record in the league, in the Heineken Cup. Sorry, it's something me and Steve have spoke about. Our league percentages, stand right up there over 2 years or so. But away games in Europe, we haven't turned that corner. So, we want to try and push one on and try and achieve something we spoke about. But it's, with acknowledging it's a difficult one as well.
How confident are you with the Scarlets one a couple of years ago?
Sorry?
Scarlets went in a couple of years ago. How confident are you guys you can win there?
I think if we can get all our game in the right working order, like I said, that's not an easy task when you think about the limited coaching time. We feel that we can impose ourselves tactically. We feel that there's some physical presence to our side, both up front and in the back line. And you can target some opportunities around their midfield, some of their backfield stuff. Not forgetting they're a powerful side. They make a ton of line breaks, and I really like the spine of their team, especially 8, 9, 10, 15. Also has got a bit of nous about them. So it's not just pace. They're a smart team as well, which as French champions would expect.